Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Wrestling Uncensored, a weekly look at everything professional wrestling in the WWE and AEW. We are 1 week away from WWE Summerslam, and the WWE is moving out of the Performance Center into the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. They will allow fans in, well, not in, but as part of the experience with LED screens. The WWE is changing, and you're going to get to sign up, well, maybe depending on where you live, to see if you can join in on all the action coming up in the WWE. AEW is taking a big, long break. They won't be doing TV next week. We'll tell you why. We'll also tell you about a bunch of returns to television. Abyss, a.k.a. Joseph Parks, making his SmackDown debut. Kalisto came back this week to SmackDown looking great. Dominic Mysterio took a vicious beating. Ric Flair kind of got beat up. And AEW making a few releases, letting some people go this week. We'll tell you who AEW has parted ways with. Johnny North, my main man. How are you, my friend? How's everything going?
Not too bad. I just got to take back what you said, though. You said AEW is not on next week. They are on. It's just on a later date.
Yeah, but it feels like a long break. We're not going to be talking about the show, right? Because our show drops Saturday mornings, right? So we're not going to be talking about Dynamite next week. We'll have no Dynamite to talk about because it's going to take place Saturday night at 6 p.m. Next Saturday night, the 22nd of August, and I think it's pretty embarrassing for AEW. Right off the bat, I think it's an embarrassment for AEW that they have to be moved off their Wednesday night time slot because TNT's bumping them for the NBA. I get it. I get that TNT has obligations, but this is the best alternative they could find. 6 p.m. on a Saturday. 6 p.m. or after the game. It's not even a 6 p.m. hard start time. It's 6 p.m. or, if the game goes long, the whoever versus whoever playing basketball, I have no idea, nor do I care. But I know that it's going to affect AEW Dynamite. Not only will they not be on Wednesday, they couldn't get them on Thursday or Friday. They're on Saturday at 6 or later if the game runs long. Boo. Terrible. That is not good. I know AEW can't do anything about it and TNT, whatever, but it's not good. It doesn't look good. You lose a lot. And, we'll see how many people actually tune into that Saturday Dynamite show. It looks good. On paper, they have a good card. They're trying, to get people to watch, but it's kind of embarrassing that they have to be bumped like that. Bumped in a major way. 6 o'clock on Saturday? Who wants to watch AEW then?
Well, to me, this is like watching WCW Saturday night because that's how it used to always be, actually. So I got no problem with it. Actually, wrestling on a Saturday night, that's actually a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Dynamite, to me, like, you want to watch it every week. I don't think it was one of the best Dynamites this week, but still, I'm always interested to see what's going to happen with AEW because you can tell with a lot of them, they're trying their best, though sometimes the best isn't always the best.
Yeah. So they're getting bumped next week, and I think they're going to get bumped more coming up.
At least another time, yeah.
Yeah, the 26th and September 16th episodes are going to air on Thursdays. So they're going to air. Oh. Yeah, so next 2 weeks, AEW is going to be bumped around. Next week, it's going to be on a Saturday, and then it's going to be on a Thursday, and then it's going to be back on Wednesday, and then the week after that, it's going to be on a Thursday again. Hard to follow.
No, Thursday's fine. Thursday's not bad. I mean, as long as they show it on TSN, like I got no problem with it. That's something I worry about. It's like, so does that mean if it doesn't air on TNT, it won't air on TSN? Because like they should air it regardless, right? At 6 on Saturday.
Well, it's scheduled to air It's scheduled to air on Saturday on TSN. Like the Saturday show, next Saturday, it's supposed to air. I've already set it to record. But I wonder, like, if TNT delays it, will TSN delay it in Canada? Or will they just start it at 6 no matter what? Because they don't have the basketball before. There's a bunch of different TSNs. And I know that there's UFC on, like, right after Dynamite. At 8, there's, like, a UFC or some prelims. I don't want that getting bumped because of NBA. It's a chain of events here I don't want to see happen. I want to see AEW on time on Saturday at 6, and then I want to see my UFC right afterwards. I don't care about no basketball. I want to see real sports where they hit each other. Get out of here with that stuff. Dribbling a ball. Doesn't impress me. Speaking of real sports, speaking of mixed martial arts, UFC 252. Watch it with us. The WWE, the UFC 252 watch along. I was going to say WWE 252.
I thought you were going to say WEC, but didn't that die like a long time ago?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. But UFC 252 taking place tonight. If you're watching this show live, if you're listening to this show later time, check out our watch along. Myself, Freddie Garcia, AJ DeLesio, we will all be here partying, watching UFC 252 with you the entire pay-per-view. Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic for the UFC heavyweight title in the main event. I've got Stipe. Freddie and AJ have DC. Johnny North, before we get to the WWE and their big move, who do you have in the heavyweight title fight?
Wow, it's tough. I really liked the last fight a lot. I think I mentioned it watching Ringside Report the other day that I watched it with AJ and it was a great fight. I remember AJ was really behind DC a lot, and then suddenly that fourth round happened, and then everything changed. But I kind of agree with him. I felt like DC was going to win that fight if that went to decision, and I feel like this is what's going to happen again. This time DC is just going to be able to weather the storm and not make mistakes again. So I think DC is going to win.
All right, well, you heard my thoughts. If you missed them, you can check them out on the latest episode of Ringside Report MMA on our YouTube channel. Hey, like this video and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. And also click the bell so you get notifications every time that we're on, including when we go live at 10 p.m. for the UFC 252 pay-per-view Saturday night right here on the Ringside Report Network. So, Big Johnny North, we have some movement for the WWE. They're going to the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. I mean, that's kind of where they've been the whole time. They're just moving to a bigger building in Orlando. It's a change, but it's not a major change. But they are going to start going live every week. They've been taping shows, and they're not doing that anymore. From what I understand, COVID testing permitting, they will be going live every Monday and Friday nights from the Amway Center, and they will be going live for SummerSlam. I wonder if the whole SummerSlam show will be live, or will we still get a cinematic wrestling experience? Wouldn't call it a wrestling match, but it's something like a wrestling match. It's a wrestling, it's similar to wrestling. And I wonder if those will continue now that they're going to the Amway Center. There's also going to be kind of people in the crowd. I've seen this at NBA games. I think maybe some baseball stadiums have it. I don't know. But they're going to have fans on LED screens, which I think is pretty cool. I want to be on one of those screens. Get me on a screen. And I wonder if you're on a screen, like, are you still getting the same view that everybody else gets on TV? Like, are you still just watching it on TV? Or because you're on a screen, is there like a camera built into that screen? Because that would be really cool if there was a camera built into the screen that you're in, so you could actually see, like, from that vantage point in the arena. That's the next step. Like, I don't think we're getting close to having people in actual arenas, so I would buy a ticket for that. If you could put me on a screen in an arena where you see me, then there's a camera on that screen So the camera that I'm looking into, there's a screen where I see that vantage point of the wrestling match. I could watch it on TV and hear the commentary, but I could also get this different fan experience. I don't know if they're doing that. From what I understand, it's just like put you on camera, kind of like this. I'd be on camera and I'd be like, yeah, go John Cena. Although there's no Cena, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, weird fan.
I'm a weird fan. I'd be like too sweeting, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what I'd be doing. Showing
Wearing
my
an
ass.
NWO shirt.
Showing my... I don't know.
I don't know what I'd be doing anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'd be doing. I guess I would behave myself, but I definitely want to do something where I get to be on one of those screens, and then we're doing a watch along of that show at the same time. So I'm on the pay-per-view, but also on YouTube here doing the show. That would be the ultimate. So hopefully, technologically, we can figure that out. But what do you think? Is this big? Is this good? What does this do? Like, will you be able to hear the people or just see them? I think you'll just be able to see them, right? It'd be good if you could hear people, too, because then it would create, like, more of an ambiance and you'd hear the sound of a crowd. Some sort of crowd simulation, with video people and their sound. I think that would be good.
Well, I think they'd be able to. I mean, you can hear my sound, right? So it's not impossible.
Yeah.
I imagine they're able to pull that off. It's just this is happening the week right before SummerSlam. I imagine they haven't tested this out too well. So I can't imagine this is going to be amazingly done. I mean, the fact that they're pulling this off at all is spectacular. A week right before the pay-per-view, but I wouldn't expect the greatest thing in the world right here. I think potentially this could be really good going forward, and maybe it can be just as good as you hope it could be. Get that cool like view like right from the seat. That'd be amazing. But I don't think we're that far ahead yet. I think just to get the whole like you're there, we can hear you, we can see you, but you're pretty much just watching like everyone else watches.
Yeah, that's not as exciting. Just being seen on TV. It's like, I'd rather get like a cooler experience by being in the arena somehow, How hard would it really be to set up a video screen? I mean, it's basically like a big cell phone, right? It's a video screen, right. And then it's like a FaceTime. You couldn't put a giant cell phone in every seat and do a FaceTime with, a person and then the arena. It's the same concept. Like, it's not that complicated, It's the same thing. I'm just talking about cell phone technology, basically, without a cell phone. All it is a giant screen. You can hear me. I can see what is in the room in front of my screen, and you can see me through the screen. Just like a FaceTime call, or just like what we're doing right now, John. Just like how we've been doing the show for the past 6 months or however long it's been. When this started, I thought it'd be 6 weeks at the most. Shit. So, I mean, how hard is that technology really? I mean, I'm sure it would cost WWE, but like, make an investment, Vince. It's not like you're not rich as hell. How hard is that?
Well, what you're asking for is like hundreds, maybe even thousands of these little things to be done. Like, to me, that seems like a lot. Again, a week right before the pay-per-view. The fact that we're getting anything right now is amazing, I think. But I imagine there's going to be a lot of trial and error with this. I mean, just imagine like a lot of the screens probably won't even work right. Just be a lot of empty screens, I'm sure. I mean, there's going to be problems with this. It's not going to be like completely done well, but they're going to try.
I don't know why you're so down on this technology, but that's cool. You're going to sign up? Apparently, they're going to roll out applications next week. You're going to sign up?
Well, can we sign up? Because, like, in Canada, it seems like we always get the last ever kind of network kind of set up or anything from WWE. And in Quebec, there's always different kind of rules. So I'd be very skeptical if we get it whatsoever, unfortunately.
Well, you know how you bypass that, right, Johnny North?
I believe you're going to put over a sponsor right now.
With our good friends over at IP Vanish. You want to mask where you are on the internet? You want to sign up to the WWE? You want to tell them you're in the United States? Tell them you're in Connecticut. They won't know with IP Vanish. Go to vpn.ringsidereport.net right now. vpn.ringsidereport.net and sign up with IP Vanish. You'll keep yourself safe on the internet. You won't get hacked. And you can trick the WWE whenever you want. I had the WWE Network when they rolled it out. You know how I had it? With a VPN, like IP Vanish. I think it was IP Vanish at the time. IP Vanish, vpn.ringsidereport.net. You want to mask your identity on the internet? IP Vanish is where it's at, okay? That makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's really what happened. When I signed up for the WWE Network, at first, you had to tell them you were in the States because it was only for Americans. But I was like, this service is tremendous. I need this service in my life. So I pretended I was American for, I don't know, a year or two. To the WWE, I lived in, America. And I had a VPN, and I had the WWE Network, but I wasn't supposed to. And now I have it legally, but before, it was legal before. It's just,
you were paying for it.
I was paying for it, exactly. I was paying for it, and I was also paying for a great VPN, but I got a tremendous deal because I went to vpn.ringsidereport.net and I signed up. So that's what everybody should be doing. And then getting themselves on that LED board. We don't know what countries will be allowed to get into that, but hey, if it's country restricted, no problem. IP Vanish, right? Look at that. Look how we roll right into a commercial. Like, that was beautiful. It wasn't even planned. We are good, John.
Yeah, things are flowing pretty good right now. Better than Raw flowed.
Yeah. Well, you liked Raw this week, right?
It was the best show this week. Raw was amazing this week.
I really enjoyed Dominic Mysterio taking a vicious beating. I thought that was...
you wanted it.
Yeah, that's what I wanted, right? And Seth Rollins even said, he's like, hit him, Buddy Murphy. He's got to pay his dues if he wants to be in the wrestling business. And yes, of course he has to pay his dues if he wants to be in the wrestling business. This kid doesn't look like a wrestler, doesn't talk like a wrestler, doesn't really move around like a wrestler, yet he is wrestling Seth Rollins in a match at SummerSlam. So yes, definitely pay your dues, definitely take a beating. And I am happy that he took that beating. Was it the worst beating I've ever seen? No. But it was pretty good. Combine that with what he took from Brock Lesnar, I think maybe Dominic Mysterio can take a beating. He's tough. He's tough. He's relatively tough. I wouldn't say he's tough enough, but I'd say he's relatively tough. Is he tough enough to be a WWE superstar? Jury's out on that one. Not sure. Wait and see. Wait and see what happens at SummerSlam. But I'm giving him more of a chance now than I gave him last week, that's for sure. He took a vicious beating with that kendo stick. But what is that really? It's a bunch of welts, It tickles. It slaps. It doesn't come on. I don't know. I'm not sold on that being the worst beating I've ever seen. Like, people were like, oh, it was uncomfortable. I felt sick. I'm like, really? I was laughing. I thought it was kind of funny. I don't know. I'm a little sick, You hit me. You chop me hard. I laugh if it hurts, It's like, it's funny to me. I don't feel it. So I like violence. And that was, all right. But not the most violent thing I've seen. Like Randy Orton, when he took those elbow smashes from Brock Lesnar in the face at SummerSlam and he got cut open, that was violent. That's a beating. That's scary. That's like brain damage, To me,
Shocking.
brain damage is where I'm like, oh, shit, There was no brain damage with those kendo stick shots to your back. Like, okay, it's going to welt. It might bruise. In a couple weeks, you won't know that anything ever happened to you. What happened to Randy Orton, that will stay with him for the rest of his life. Like, it's there's levels to this shit, I'm talking fucking brain damage, all right? You take brain damage, and then I'm like, shit. I'm not saying you should be taking brain damage. I'm just saying some guys do, and I respect the hell out of them for it. Because they are seriously putting their life on the line. They're seriously leaving a piece of themselves in the ring. And a lot of guys have taken that. And it's not because, they took elbows from Brock Lesnar. It's just because they've wrestled for a number of years, and over the course of those years, concussions happen. And that's part of the wear and tear of a wrestler, and that's part of paying your dues, and that's part of why you earn the big matches at SummerSlam, which Dominic Mysterio has still not done. I'm not saying get brain damage, but I'm saying he hasn't really paid his dues. Right, John?
I get it, but this is their way of trying to build up sympathy for him. And I think for the most part, it seems to be working. I think people feel bad for Dominic, and they want to see him do well at least. And they're giving him the opportunity, WWE is at least, by giving him the kind of match where at least it seems like he has a chance where he can do whatever he wants in that match. And Seth Rollins, I think, has to abide by the rules. It's just kind of ridiculous. I think we just saw this at Extreme Rules, this kind of match where you could do everything, like Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre. I think it was the same kind of match. So it's kind of crummy that they're just repeating this kind of thing again, but whatever. It suits Dominic, and I think it's also to show you that Dominic's not going to pull off moves like Rey Mysterio, but at least they'll be somewhat violent, the match.
Is it a no-holds-barred type of thing?
Well, it's for Dominic. He can do whatever he wants. That was Seth added that stipulation right before they signed the contract, right?
Oh, okay.
But I think Seth, he can't do whatever he wants.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, you got to give Dominic some sort of edge in this match to make you believe he could maybe win. And I can't see Dominic and Seth in a straight-up wrestling match, Edge and Randy style. I don't see that tearing the house down or being really passable. So you need to sprinkle in some weapons. You need to add some gimmicks into this thing to make it somewhat passable. He can swing a kendo stick, but can he actually lock up? Have we seen Dominic lock up? How can he even do it? The basics. I don't know if he can do, and he's about to wrestle Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. Okay.
Well, they're not selling the match like that, though. They're selling it that where it's like, oh, if it was a wrestling match, you wouldn't last 10 seconds. So that's why I got to give you all the advantages in the world, because if it was headlocks or whatever, you'd tap out right away kind of thing. So that's the way they were selling the match, is that Dominic's not even in his league to be in the match, which kind of makes sense. But again, we just saw this kind of match stipulation the last pay-per-view. But I guess they don't have anything else.
So that was a big one on Raw. The other big one on Raw was Randy Orton turning on the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Randy Orton beats Kevin Owens clean, middle of the ring, 1-2-3 after the RKO. Solid match. Good stuff.
I thought it was all right. It wasn't amazing, but it was okay.
Yeah. Kevin making a mistake, though. Too much taunting of Randy Orton at the end. He had him in trouble, but Kevin had to do the Randy Orton taunt and then set him up for the stunner, but Randy was right there. RKO out of nowhere. Didn't make Kevin look great in the finish. Made him look a little like he wasn't playing it smart, but it's a way out of him losing to Randy, I suppose. I just don't like that Kevin Owens is just kind of there, He's there to lose to Randy, whatever.
Doesn't have a match at SummerSlam, so yeah, he is just kind of there.
That's it. Yeah. Beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and now Dominic has a match at SummerSlam, but Kevin Owens does not. So Randy Orton does a good promo there with the Nature Boy Ric Flair, talks about the love and respect he had for Ric Flair, but he doesn't anymore, and he says Rick is a liability, and Randy says that he knows that Rick sees him as the son he wishes he had, which is whoa. Because one of Flair's sons, Reed, passed away, and his other son is David Flair. So that was rough. Roughski.
Yeah, but he knows it's true, though.
That Flair wishes Randy was his son?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Flair wants that, actually.
He'd be proud to have Randy as a son, but he's got a fantastic daughter, and he talked about, how he's just Charlotte's dad now, and Randy was like, Flair, you're washed up, and you're good for nothing, and you're just crying now. The old Nature Boy wouldn't have been crying. All you do is cry. And then Flair comes back with a really passionate, emotional promo, says he takes it really personal, and he's 71 and still on Raw, and he's so happy that he could still be on Raw, and it's the greatest feeling in the world. And he says guys like Hogan call him and ask him what it's like. And Flair says says to Randy he wants him to break his record to be 16-time world champion. My record, not John Cena's record. That was good. That was good shit from Nature Boy.
He meant that stuff.
I know. It was so fucking raw and emotional, man. It was beautiful. And it just shows you, man, the Nature Boy Ric Flair still, like, in whatever role you put him in, he's going to hit a home run because he's the fucking Nature Boy. You put him on the microphone, brother, guy's tremendous. Gotta love Ric Flair. You gotta love Ric Flair. 71 years old. Like he talked about, he's cheated death more times than any man should. The Nature Boy Ric Flair. Gotta give it to him. And then Randy hugs Flair, punches him in the balls, and the lights are flickering because retribution is afoot. And then Randy goes to punt Flair, and then, of course, when Randy goes to punt Ric Flair, the lights go out because retribution. Or
the Fiend.
Or the Fiend, or the Undertaker, or Finn Balor, maybe. I mean, who knows? Who knows why the lights went out? The lights really went out because it's a great out to get out of seeing violence that doesn't actually happen. Which happened not only on Raw, but on SmackDown as well, which we'll talk about later with Alexa Bliss, right? Braun Strowman had her up, and it was like going to gorilla press her, and then the lights go out, and she's on the ground. You're like, what happened?
Well, to be fair, she did go up in the air, though.
She did go up in the air, but, like, it was a taped show, so what do you think happened? They probably put mats there.
Oh, I'm sure they caught her.
Yeah, like, they put mats, or somebody caught her, or whatever. Alexa was fine. So dumb. And, of course, the lights go out, and then Randy punts Flair, apparently, with the lights out, and then, like, Flair's all down. And Drew McIntyre shows up, and he's like, you son of a bitch, Randy, you son of a bitch. And you evil son of a bitch, I think what he called him. And, yeah. It was good, man. The promo was really good. I don't like the lights going out for the big, moment. I think it's kind of like an easy out, and it's kind of cheesy, but the promo from Randy and from Flair was really good. It was a good way to end off Raw.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm like really excited now for that match. Like, I know it's not going to be that great of a match, but that sold it for me right there. Like what Randy did, because now there's heat for this match.
Yeah. Is there? I thought there was heat already between Randy and Drew. Like, adding Ric Flair to it is weird.
Well, to me, it just shows that Randy will go to any level to become WWE champion. Like, he'll even turn his back on, like, his dearest friends. And Drew, like, is completely disrespected by this and has to uphold the honor of Ric Flair and everyone else that Randy Orton has slain in his path.
What the hell are you talking about? So, wouldn't Randy want the dirtiest player in the game in his corner if he's going up against the WWE champion? Wouldn't he want a guy in his corner who's willing to do all sorts of dastardly deeds and help him win? How is Flair a liability to Randy? Why? What? It didn't really make sense. Like, the motivations of characters in WWE are not really there. They don't really add up most of the time. Most of the time. Which says a lot about the writing and the stories in WWE. Because the characters' motivations are just like, well, why would Randy do that to Ric Flair? Because he's evil? Because he's the legend killer? Because he's a dick? But I thought he liked Ric Flair. Like, he had Ric Flair with him a bunch of times, and they've been together for so long, and Ric Flair helps him win matches. And he's about to go into a really big match for the WWE title. If I was Randy Orton, and I was a heel, and I had Ric Flair in my corner, I'd be like, yeah, what's the harm in having him in my corner? I'll keep him. Why would I get rid of Ric Flair? Doesn't really make sense. He's pretty useful. Or just there, whatever. He's not cost him any matches. He's not been a distraction at all. It didn't really make sense for Randy to do that to Ric Flair. It's just like, well, Randy's a dick. Okay, well, Randy was already a dick with Ric Flair. But now he's an even bigger dick because he attacked Ric Flair. I mean, yeah, okay, but why did he do that? Just because he's a dick? Yeah, but why did Randy Orton do that? Why? What's his motivation? There is none. It doesn't really make sense. Make it make sense, John. Here it comes. Here it comes. What do you got?
Well, the reason that they explained was that Randy didn't want the match, and Flair pretty much put him up in that situation, but he didn't want to be in that situation. So that's the motivation. It's a weak motivation. Like, yeah, you can be mad about it, but to go that far, it just seemed like a little bit out of character. But they needed this moment to happen, and they just found any lame excuse, and that was it, unfortunately. But
Randy didn't want the match?
Yeah, Randy didn't want the match.
Why would he not want the match?
Because, like, he didn't want it for whatever reason. Again, like, they didn't really think through.
Right, like, what, is he scared of Drew McIntyre? He doesn't appear scared of Drew McIntyre.
No, not Drew. He didn't want the match with Kevin.
Okay. Why not? Like, okay.
I know. It wasn't really well thought out, unfortunately, but they just needed this to happen, and they needed some excuse, so they got an excuse. Lame, but still, they did it. And now this is where we're at. And I don't mind it, because, like, it just added something to this, which it needed, because, like, I didn't think that promo did enough to sell me on Drew McIntyre, but if Drew McIntyre is going to go out for vengeance for Ric Flair, then that can sell it for me.
I don't really care about Drew McIntyre fighting for Ric Flair's honor. That doesn't really sell it for me. I cared more about Drew McIntyre fighting for himself and fighting to be a true locker room leader, because Randy's been a bad guy for so many years, and, you know, Randy was the chosen one, but Drew should have been all along. I think that's a better story, but hey, that's just me. You know what? You know, the match that I'm looking forward to the most at SummerSlam is not...
There's a match?
Yeah, there's a match. Oh, brother, there's a match. It's not Dominic and Seth. It's not Asuka versus Sasha or Asuka versus Bayley, which, by the way, is happening. Asuka's wrestling both matches. It's definitely not It's definitely not Braun Strowman versus The Fiend. It's Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville. Hair versus hair. Yes. This is what I was talking about. When Sonya brought out the scissors a couple weeks ago on SmackDown and cut Mandy's hair, I was like, are they gonna do hair versus hair? And then Mandy just attacked Sonya last week, and I was like, oh, maybe no hair versus hair. Maybe that was just like a one-time thing. But then Mandy Rose cuts a very good promo on SmackDown this week. Like, I got to give it to Mandy. She cut a really passionate promo about not just being a pretty face and having to work very hard and being tough and wanting to get revenge on Sonya and saying she's not scared and she's ready to go. Hair versus hair. Mandy making the challenge. Somebody will be shaved bald at SummerSlam. Hair versus hair. Mandy versus Sonya. Like that. That is a match with something on the line. When I watch professional wrestling, I want to see things that will change the next night of professional wrestling and professional wrestling going forward for a while. I want something on the line that will fundamentally change the character moving forward. That's the best stuff. When something is on the line that means something, like the WWE Championship, like if Drew McIntyre loses the WWE Championship to Randy Orton, then, he's not the same on Monday night for Raw. He's a different guy, he's a different character, and his world changes. For real, in a shoot way. But Mandy and Sonya, if one of them is shaved bald at SummerSlam, their world changes in a shoot way even more. They didn't lose a pretend championship belt. They lost their goddamn hair. That shit is serious. That is something on the line. That's high stakes. Will the match be great? Definitely not. But the result, by God, somebody's going to lose their hair. I think it's going to be Mandy, too. And I think she's going to look great with a bald head. I think they'll both look good. But I think Mandy will lose her hair. And I think it's going to be a good look for her. I'm excited. Like, Mandy said hair versus hair on SmackDown. I was like, yeah! Hair versus hair! That's old school, brother. That's wrestling, That's, Kurt Angle versus Edge. Kurt Angle had hair his whole career.
Well, I was dying, but okay.
I mean, yeah, sure, but he had hair. It was Angle with hair. And then he wrestled Edge. Edge shaved his head. And for the rest of his career after that, it was bald Kurt Angle. It changed him forever. One match changed Kurt Angle's look for the rest of his career. That's big. Vince McMahon, right? The Bobby Lashley versus Umaga match at WrestleMania. Of course, Vince McMahon and President Trump fucking had a hair versus hair match, and Vince lost and got shaved bald. His hair grew back, and he kept it, he didn't stay bald, but there was Do-Rag Vince that happened after that, which we can never forget, which led to his ECW championship run as Do-Rag Vince, bald Vince. That was great stuff, pal. Good shit, pal, right? I mean, hair versus hair matches are big time. And they are very rare. And they mean a lot. And this is big. I am hyped. Mandy Sonya, hair versus hair. And what's Braun Strowman doing cutting his hair in a non-hair versus hair scenario? Fucking Braun Strowman. Doesn't he understand wrestling? If you lose your hair, it's supposed to be like for a reason. The Fiend should have like burned his hair off or something, total waste. But Johnny North, your old school wrestling heart doesn't get excited when you see Mandy Sonya hair versus hair. The stipulation is fantastic.
Well, the stipulation is good, but like you said before, am I excited for the wrestling match? Of course not. Like, there's no wrestling match I'm really excited for at all at SummerSlam. Yeah, I want to see who wins and who loses, but that's really about it. And like, I'm not really that excited for that match. Like, Mandy, like, it was an okay promo. Like, it seemed like she was really passionate at first, but it also felt like she got lost in that promo a bit because it was kind of long for her. And for some reason, she changed her accent. I don't know why. I don't know if she was like mocking Sonya or something, but it just seemed like out of place when she did that. I just wasn't that big of a fan of that promo, but she got the point across, hair versus hair. That's fine. And yeah, it'll be fun to see, I guess, but maybe this is better not live because like we've seen it before in the past when they've done these like shaving the head thing. It doesn't work out very well sometimes when you do that. I don't know if you remember, like, I think it happened with Punk, right? Didn't Punk get like busted open like when they were shaving his head? So maybe this should be taped.
Yes, the Punk hair versus hair match. Who did he lose to?
I think it was Hair versus Mask, actually. It wasn't against Ray?
With Ray, right. I don't know about that Mandy accent thing. I think she's from Jersey, and the accent creeps in every once in a while. I think that was the case. It was just like, oh, the accent just kind of reappeared there. It's like a subtle accent, and it's there sometimes. I don't think it was like I'm going to put on an accent like John Cena did in select promos and select markets, right? Sometimes Cena was like real, like, and sometimes he was real bastard, and I was like, where did the Boston accent come from, Cena? It was weird.
Right.
It was weird. Cena played to his audience. He was a panderer. It worked for him. But I don't think that's what Mandy's doing. But I am hyped for the hair versus hair. I'm also hyped for Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles. But that's not at SummerSlam. That's going to be for the Intercontinental Championship next week on SmackDown. AJ Styles cut this big old promo on SmackDown this week talking about how no one deserves a title shot against him, and he has hired a man, and this man is the phenomenal Intercontinental Statistics System. And if you, of course, figured that out, the acronym Phenomenal Intercontinental Statistics System, it's PISS. PISS. You had the superhero in training. Shit. Remember that? Rosie? And now we have the Phenomenal Intercontinental Statistics System. PISS.
And also a big man as well. The former Abyss.
That's right. It's Joseph Parks. Formerly Abyss. Formerly Joseph Parks. Now Abyss. Yeah. That was weird. And Jeff Hardy showed up, and AJ talked about Jeff Hardy and showed a lot of respect to Jeff Hardy in that promo. But then he said, no, Jeff Hardy doesn't get a title shot. But then Jeff Hardy attacked him, and all of a sudden next week, Jeff Hardy is getting a title shot. What happened?
Well, because he couldn't erase his name on the board, so now he's mad, so the match is going to happen, I guess.
So AJ Styles had a whiteboard. Jeff Hardy wrote his name on that whiteboard with permanent marker, and AJ couldn't erase it. So AJ got mad, and now he's giving him a title shot, which is exactly what he wanted, which AJ cut this big, long promo about how nobody deserves a title shot. So Jeff Hardy damages AJ's whiteboard, and that's somehow made him deserve a title shot? Okay.
Again, these excuses are lame. I'm sorry, but this is the way they write their characters.
Yeah, well, that's it, man. The characters and motivations are not there. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. And if you compare it to the character motivations in AEW, AEW seems to make more sense. Guys in AEW don't do things where you're like, why did they do that? When they do things, you're like, yeah, I can see that. I see the angle there. In WWE, it's just like, why? Why is this happening? It's just a lot of confusion in WWE. Speaking of confusion, Asuka is going to wrestle twice at SummerSlam. They have a huge roster. Bayley and Sasha are the Raw Women's Champion, SmackDown Women's Champion, and Women's Tag Team Champions. So it's already concentrated enough on Bayley and Sasha. Nothing's really spread around with the other women in the division. And now the only opponent they have is Asuka. So they're concentrating it even further by making the entire women's division about 3 people. Which, I like those 3 people. And I am in favor of it right now. But if I were one of the other people in the WWE women's roster, I'd be like, really? What? I'd be a little mad, right? I think the rest of the women have right to be a little bit upset. Asuka won a match against Bayley on Raw to get her title shot, and then she won a battle royal on SmackDown to earn a title shot against Bayley. So she beat Bayley to earn a title shot against Sasha, and then she won a Battle Royal to earn a title shot against Bayley, and now it's going to be Asuka versus Bayley for the SmackDown title, and Asuka versus Sasha for the Raw title. Asuka beating... who was in this match? Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, The Iconics, Nikki Cross, Dana Brooke, Bianca Belair, Shayna Baszler, Shotzi Blackheart, Tegan Nox, Naomi, Tamina, Lacey Evans. I could have seen Bianca Belair versus Bayley at SummerSlam. I could have seen Naomi versus Bayley at SummerSlam. I could have seen Shayna versus Bayley at SummerSlam. I would have been all right with a Nikki Cross even again. But I don't know. It's a little bit strange that they're giving it to Asuka, and I'm not mad that they're giving it to Asuka. I love Asuka. I think Asuka's the best. But it's just a little bit odd that they're doing this. Such a big event. Double booking Asuka. And you figure she's going to win one of the matches, right? I think she'll probably win one, if not both. If not both.
Well, I think that's the reason behind this. It's like they want to show you something that's never been done before, and now she has the opportunity to win both championships, like in two separate matches kind of thing. Like Becky did it, but in one match, where she can win it in one match after the other, and she could win it like back to back kind of thing. I imagine that's how the matches are going to go probably. So this could be really impressive to watch, but like you said, like it kind of buries everyone else where it's like, this is just revolving around three women and that's it. Everyone else is like nobodies. And like, it's been like that for a while when you think about it, where it's just been Bayley and Sasha, insert somebody, and then we'll just move on kind of thing. And they've done it almost to the whole roster. It's kind of too bad. And I don't know about you, but that finish of the Battle Royal was very weak. Like the way Shayna just went out of the ring like that, no fight whatsoever. Like it's like they didn't care.
It was odd. It's definitely odd what they're doing with the women's division. You know, you have Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott trying to figure out their issues, and they're feuding with the Iconics. Natty and Lana appeared on Raw wearing matching dresses and cut a promo on Mickie James for some reason, who came back. That was just a backstage. Yeah, but that was just a backstage promo. It's leading to what? A match? What's the match?
They said it's going to be Natty against Mickie James on Raw this week.
So you look around the women's division and you're like, oh, what else is really happening here? Not much. Strange.
Well, I feel like actually a lot's going on. It's just like a lot of like not really important stuff is going on, unfortunately.
That's it.
And then you have to get the mandatory like Sasha Bayley promo pretty much almost every show. But it pretty much just revolves around them, and then that's pretty much it. One opponent, and they pretty much just get themselves over, and everyone else, not so much. So it just feels like everyone else is the afterthought. And, well, that's not really how you build a division. Like, people like to say, like, the women's division is strong in WWE. I mean, there's a lot of talented women, but really it just revolves around 3 or 4, and that's it.
Sasha and Bayley are good on the mic, though. But they were just running everybody down. They did the introductions for the people in the Battle Royal, and they were just cutting promos on everybody. Heel, babyface, they were just ripping people. And I was like, whoa. And Bayley was wearing a Dana Brooke shirt for some reason. And Dana was in the match. Could have been her opponent. Why was Bayley wearing a Dana Brooke shirt? What was that?
Well, I think they were actually cheering her on for whatever reason. I don't know why. For some reason, I guess Dana turned heel. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on with a lot of these women, but apparently, you know, they switch, you know, face, heel, whatever. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but I would think you'd want Asuka to actually win, right? Because isn't this harder for her now? Then she has like 2 matches in one night. Like, I don't know why they were mad about this. This is better for them. Right.
Again, the character's motivations. It doesn't make sense. Like, Bayley potentially could have had to wrestle a fresh Shayna at SummerSlam, But now she might wrestle Asuka after Asuka just wrestled Sasha. Easier. But Bayley was acting like it was the worst thing in the world. It was like, well, I mean, you're kind of 2-on-1 here in 2 different matches. It's not so bad. Kairi Sane's not around. Like, you could double team her. Like it's, if you're a heel, it's kind of good. Sasha could have her match with Asuka. Bayley could jump in, beat up Asuka, disqualification, and then Asuka's beat up, and then Bayley just beats her in her match. 1, 2, 3, it's over. They go home. Everybody's still champion. Like, it's not a bad thing, but the character motivations just don't make sense. Speaking of character motivations not making sense, this one was bad. So Big E and John Morrison are in the ring for a match, right? They get attacked by the Retribution. So the Retribution people show up. I was watching it with my son, and he's like, are those ninjas? I was like, no, that's Retributions. Those are Retributions. He's like, oh, okay. But, I mean, it's basically the same thing. They're just like a better version of Tozawa's ninjas. By the way, R-Truth dressed up as a ninja this week and took the 24/7 title back from Tozawa, in case you were still following that storyline. So the Retribution masked people show up, attack Big E and John Morrison, and then they run away. And then SmackDown talent is backstage wondering about what just happened. And Miz is like, oh, Big E, it's your fault because you were tweeting about them, challenging them to come and attack you. And then King Corbin shows up, and he's like, look, I can be the leader here. We can take out Retribution if you just follow me because I'm King Corbin. And then Big E's like, no, I'm the leader here. And he gives a good, passionate speech about how he's going to stand up and we're going to fight and all of this. And now I'm going to go out later tonight and beat John Morrison to show Retribution who's boss. Shouldn't you want to beat up Retribution? In a real situation, if a bunch of masked men are attacking you, you would attempt to grab one of those masked men, beat them up, rip off their mask, reveal their identity, and then press them. I don't know if you've ever seen a movie, but you're supposed to take the guy's mask off and say, who are you working for? Who sent you? Who sent you? That's what you're supposed to say, right? Who sent you? Who are you working for? That's what you're supposed to do to masked assailants who come and attack you. Who sent you? Who are you working for? No one has said that. When a bunch of masked guys show up, you attack them. Big E does this rousing speech, and you're like, okay, Big E is going to lead the SmackDown locker room against Retribution. And he's like, I'm going to wrestle John Morrison. We're going to finish our match. What the fuck? The fuck was that? And then Sheamus is like, oh, fuck you, fella. You suck at wrestling. I'm Sheamus. Blah, 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 blah. I've got a new hat. I like his new hat, though. He looks cool.
Insulted Chad Gable again for no reason, but
whatever.
Oh, wait, they had a match, right? So he had to insult him and then beat him in a match.
That's right. Sheamus just pretty much squashed Chad Gable after a brogue kick. So then Big E and John Morrison have their match later on in the show. Of course, we have to have this very important match for Big E. More important than getting beat up and the whole roster getting attacked is this match with John Morrison, who he's beat already, like for the tag team titles with Kofi, but whatever.
His first match back, no, too, wasn't it? Morrison, his first match, I think it was against Big E on SmackDown.
Yeah. So the SmackDown roster was ringside to protect this match from happening, right? They needed to make sure that this match happened to show Retribution who's in charge. And then Retribution shows up backstage and just beats people up backstage. And then Michael Cole is like trying to tell people that are ringside like what's happening. They're like, Retribution is coming! And no one's listening to Michael Cole. And then suddenly a referee emerges from backstage and they're like, come on, please help us. We're getting beat up. All the refs were getting beat up backstage by Retribution. Then one like lady referee is like, please help us. So then all the superstars who are ringside, they run back. The NXT people, the developmental people that are ringside watching the match, they don't run back to go help. They keep watching Big E and John Morrison, even though last week Retribution beat the shit out of all of them. right? They don't want revenge. They're like, fuck it. We're here to just have a good time. I know we got beat up last week, and all the other SmackDown people are going to help backstage because, I think they kidnapped Stephanie or something, but yeah, whatever. Whatever. We're just going to stay here and watch Big E and John Morrison because this is very fucking important, okay? So, of course, the SmackDown people go backstage, and, Retribution's all gone. The 30 people that were there all have disappeared within, 15 seconds. And Big E beats John Morrison with this weirdo submission move. And then Sheamus brogue kicks Big E. And then the lights start to flicker. And you're like, Retribution's going to come out and attack now. But no, it's just Braun Strowman. Lights go out for fucking everybody on this show. Fucking everybody. Why was Big E so hell-bent on wrestling John Morrison over everything? Why is the crowd happy to take a whooping from Retribution last week and then just not help when everybody else is like backstage getting beat up? What is Retribution really? Like, WWE doesn't even know. This is the worst part of the whole thing. They don't have a fucking clue about who or what Retribution actually is. How come one of their powers is they dim the lights? Like the first week they explained it by, they actually exploded some equipment, so that's like a power malfunction that we're having in the arena. But like that equipment's been fixed. So they just have control of the lights. They just dim the lights. Like that's it. It's fucking stupid. And WWE doesn't even know what it is. They haven't fleshed it out, just like all of their other characters. This is just another character for the WWE, another storyline that they don't really have an ending to. This is what they do. They come up with a concept. They put it out there. They don't know how it's going to finish. They don't know who's in it. They don't know what it is. We'll just figure it out along the way. That's how you get a bunch of bullshit. Once in a while, when you do that, you get lucky. You know when they announced the Boneyard match, which you learned from the Undertaker's documentary, they didn't know what it was going to be. They're like, yeah, we're going to have a Boneyard match. Okay, well, it's Undertaker, AJ Styles at WrestleMania. Well, what's the Boneyard match? I don't know. We'll figure it out. They announced the fucking match without having any clue about what it would actually be. Just like Retribution. They don't know who's under the mask. Don't try to guess. They don't know. Give them good ideas because they need it. Badly. They don't have good ideas. You've seen the show. They don't have good ideas. Please do a character sketch for everybody on the roster. Who are they? Where do they come from? What do they like? What do they dislike? What do their parents do? Do they have a brother or sister? How many? Who the fuck are these people? Figure it out. And then write stories for them. Because anybody that's writing any kind of good fiction, that's what they do. They figure out who their characters are before they start writing for them. So that when these characters are put into situations, their motivations and their direction is clear. The WWE doesn't have fleshed out characters. They don't have clear character motivation. So when you watch their show, it's like, why did he do that? Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? And you wonder why the product is in the toilet. Like, it's not rocket science. This is what I don't understand about the WWE. Like, they clearly try. They're making attempts, but it's like they don't know how to do it anymore. They're just throwing shit up against the wall and seeing if it'll stick. But, I mean, they used to do that, but at least they knew what they were throwing up against the wall. It's like, this is spaghetti. This is a tennis ball. This is some glue I found. Now it's like, what's this goop I found? I don't know. Throw it against the wall. It might work. Should we maybe not throw it up against the wall? It might be like radioactive. We'll figure it out. And the wall's like melting. That's the WWE right now. Their fucking walls are melting. That's the next idea for the next Bray Wyatt match. Fuck.
Well, you didn't talk about the worst part about it though.
Which is, I mean, I don't even want to know what the worst part is.
Well, did you see like they're fighting? What they did one in the ring and then what they did backstage, like how bad that was?
Yeah. It wasn't good.
Well, not good. Like this is taped and that was the best they could pull off. Like one, it looks like they don't know how to like brawl with two people when you have like a 7-on-2 advantage. That looked like ridiculously bad. Like they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And then you like have them doing wrestling moves backstage on referees that don't know how to bump right, so everything looks like garbage. And who the hell like goes up for moves like that? Like it takes away the whole like realism that they try to pull off with Retribution. It just, in my opinion, it's almost killing it by them executing poor wrestling moves.
And the SmackDown roster looks really dumb in the process. They can't ever catch them. Big E is hell-bent on wrestling Morrison, like... And they don't know. Like, the WWE doesn't know what this is going to be. They don't know. They might figure it out and have it come up. Somebody might come up with a great idea that they go with. Hopefully. But, come on now. You've watched this show. You see what this is.
Well, this is why Raw was better, because we didn't see as much from Retribution. I think they were just shown like once or twice, whatever, and it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, they smashed up a car and threw a cinder block through a window at the Performance Center. That's what Retribution... Retribution? What are they called? Retribution, right?
Retribution.
That's what they did on Raw. Like, so minor. SmackDown, they attack everybody, tear up the set. They had a chainsaw. Friday night, they bring chainsaws. Monday, they smash a window and turn upside down some car outside. They don't even get in the building. Is Retribution just a bunch of Raw guys? Because they seem to be doing more damage to SmackDown. Like, what they're doing on Raw, very minor. What have they really done to Raw? They exploded some sort of piece of equipment. They smashed a window and they broke a car. They haven't attacked anyone on Raw. They haven't actually physically assaulted anyone on Raw. But on SmackDown, they're assaulting people left and right. Maybe it's Raw people.
Well, this week on SmackDown, it looked like they got a lot more bulkier. I don't know if you noticed a lot of those guys, but they're like some of them were taller. Like I think there's 2 women now, by the way. So it looks like their numbers are growing, or they're just maybe switching the characters, perhaps, because maybe they're figuring out who's actually going to be under the mask. I'm not sure.
No, nobody under the mask is actually in the group. If it is a group, if it actually turns out to be anything. Nobody. And if they are, it's by chance. You know this just as well as I do. They still haven't figured it out. They haven't. When they figure it out, you'll know because they'll pull off the mask. Nobody knows. They don't know. It's terrible. Best case scenario, it's some sort of Sami Zayn-led group. That's how I see it. Or even better, Roman Reigns.
The new Shield, yeah, sure.
Some new group that he's like pissed at the WWE for whatever, and he's like mad Roman, and it's evil Roman.
That would only work if he was feuding with Bray Wyatt, but he wasn't feuding with Bray Wyatt, so Roman shouldn't change.
Yeah, I guess not, but who knows when Roman will come back, if he'll ever come back at this point, right? There's no word
he'll come
on
back one day.
When there's a vaccine? Like, who knows?
Yeah, years from now, sure.
Yeah. That's it for Roman, right? Like, the big career,
he's still making movies.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, WWE, like the the Roman Reigns era. Like, it's never really going to happen. It's crazy.
Well, he's had more than enough great runs already in WWE.
Has he, though? He never had a really long title run. Never.
I felt when he beat Triple H at WrestleMania, like that was his greatest moment.
Yeah, but it wasn't a long run.
Well, no, but he's a lot like Cena. Like he never had long runs.
Well, Cena had a long run in his career.
Well,
he had
Cena
one.
had like 16, so
Yeah,
he better have
so?
a long run.
Yeah, but we're talking about Roman Reigns here, who, he's supposed
like
to be in.
7.
He's supposed to be in that category.
Well, you're hoping that maybe. Well, I'm sure if he would have beat Goldberg at WrestleMania, he'd probably still be the champion right now.
Yeah,
But that didn't work out.
That's what I'm saying. And last time he was champion and it looked like he was going to have a long run, leukemia. He had to give up the title. This time, he's about to beat Goldberg, WrestleMania, have a long run. Coronavirus, pandemic, Roman stays home. It's like, it might be, when you look back on the Roman Reigns story, like a career of missed opportunities, which is kind of crazy because they were gearing him up to be the top guy for a very long time. And that's another thing about the WWE. Say what you want about Roman Reigns, like him or don't, whatever. He's their top star, and he's been gone for several months. Losing Roman Reigns is a huge blow for any wrestling company. Like, if you have Roman Reigns, especially the way the WWE had built him up, it's a void at the top of the card. Losing that guy was big for them. And people are saying, lack of crowd, lack of this, lack of that, and WWE doesn't know what they're doing, and all these problems, and yeah, sure. All those things are true. But let's cut him some slack a little bit and say, okay, you also lost your top star. That's pretty big. Like Roman Reigns, he's the big dog. Let's not pretend that he doesn't mean a lot to the company. You don't have to like him or think he's the best, but he's very important to the WWE. He's very important for the progression of storylines. And because they built him so high up on the card, without him, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, well, Braun Strowman's champion on SmackDown, but like, is he? That threat of Roman, the Roman Reigns influence, it still kind of looms over SmackDown. And that doesn't help the WWE.
No, it's a good point. It's a very good point. It's a huge hole that they haven't really filled, unfortunately. And I think not having Brock Lesnar around also hurts a lot. You lose a lot of that star power. It's hard to build new stars just out of nowhere. I mean, they're trying with Drew McIntyre, but it's not easy.
Apparently, Brock was supposed to be at SummerSlam if they were going to do it, in normal times. Edge was supposed to be at SummerSlam, but he's hurt. Roman Reigns should be around, but he's not. Like those are three pretty big pieces that WWE at the beginning of this year, they were counting on at this time, Summer 2020, when they're kind of getting set in January, February, they were planning for Edge and Brock and Roman to be around. And those are three major players to not have around when you're trying to plan big programs. Like, those are main eventers. Legit, bona fide main eventers that they don't have. So, yes, complain about SummerSlam. It is a weak card, but it's not fully the WWE's fault. If Edge was on the card, if Brock was on the card, if Roman was on the card, it would be a better card, right? Like, if no matter where they are on the card, no matter what they're doing, if those three guys are on this show, then yeah, I think you're going to give it a lot more respect and you're going to be a little bit more excited, right? So, I was thinking about that this week. Like, WWE's not doing great, but they've had a pretty rough go of it.
And when you think about it, I mean, it's not SummerSlam without Brock Lesnar. I mean, the last couple of years, it's been the Brock Lesnar show at SummerSlam. So there's a huge void in that show without him. And you don't get those special attractions. Last year, we saw Edge come back at SummerSlam, and it seemed like this was going to be his big comeback was starting at SummerSlam. Technically, it was the Rumble, but still, like, we got a bit of a preview right there. And this could have been a huge thing for him. He probably was going to be the main event Edge this year. So a lot of huge holes for WWE. I just worry though. I hope we're not going to get this at SummerSlam. Please, not 7 hours. Hopefully they fix that problem. No more 7 hour pay-per-views.
Yeah,
Please no.
I don't think they're doing that anymore.
Good.
I think it'll be like a 3 hour, maybe 3.5 at the very most. But I think it'll go 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. I don't think it's going to go that long. They figured that out. They're cutting them shorter. Pay-per-views have been shorter. SummerSlam so
But this
far
is a big one though.
it's only set for 8 matches. It is a big one, but they have another pay-per-view the next week. So whatever they don't do at SummerSlam, they could push for the next week. And, already they're putting SummerSlam matches on SmackDown. Like Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, Intercontinental title should be at SummerSlam, but I think they just don't want to overload that card, so they're going to do it on SmackDown. I think they figured it out. Braun Strowman.
Well, again, we'll wait and see.
Braun Strowman, that promo. He shows up, he's bald. Okay, Braun's got no more hair. He shaved off his hair. He's in the ring. He calls out the Fiend. Alexa Bliss shows up, and she wants to talk. Braun Strowman doesn't want to talk. So last week on SmackDown, Braun Strowman's like, Bray Wyatt, you think I care about Alexa Bliss? I don't care about Alexa Bliss. I never did. I just care about destroying you because I'm a monster now, and you're going to get these hands. So Braun Strowman's a monster now. He's like legit monster. He's not a monster among men. He's just a monster, and he's evil. And he's got powers. Alexa's like, we were friends, Braun Strowman. What happened? And Braun's like, you used me. You made me be your puppet and a clown. And you made me sing songs in your car. And you made me look like a fool. And, when he was associated with Alexa Bliss, Braun Strowman did kind of look like a buffoon and a little bit of a joke, but it's really how the WWE booked him. It's not really Alexa's fault, but still, good stuff there. Decent barking. Alexa's like, well, just look at me when I'm talking to you. And Braun looks at her all mean. And she's like, well, if I can't talk sense into you, I'm going to slap some sense into you. And then she slaps him and slaps him and slaps him again. She slapped him a bunch of times. Stiffsky. Good slaps. And then Braun gorilla presses her and walks around the ring for a while, calling out the Fiend. And then the lights go out, and I'm like, is this retribution? But no, it's the Fiend. Fucking lights go out for everybody on this show. It's the Fiend. So Braun has her in a gorilla press, and he tosses her. She goes in the air, lights go out, and you're like, oh shit, is Alexa dead? And then the lights,
Yeah.
right? And the lights are back on. And the Fiend is in the ring over a prone Alexa Bliss, and Braun Strowman's not there. And then he appears on the big screen, and he's laughing. And then the Fiend is in the ring, and he's laughing. And they all have a good chuckle, and that's how SmackDown ended. So, something happened with Alexa Bliss. They saved her there when the lights went out. This was a bit weird. I guess Braun Strowman is going a little bit more evil. Braun Strowman is maybe turning heel at some point. I think he beats Bray, and then he's like a heel champion going forward. Maybe to take on Big E or something. They're pushing Big E. They're doing something with Big E. I could see Big E being the guy to take it off Braun. Somebody's going to have to take it off Braun at some point. I don't think it's going to be the Fiend.
Really? Wow. I'm surprised by that because I'm getting the feeling now that this is a love triangle, it seems.
Huh?
And I think maybe Alexa's going to help the Fiend beat Braun to become the champion, I think. You're not seeing that? Because that's what I'm kind of seeing right now, where it's Alexa, oh, she likes Braun because she said it. She said, oh, maybe, romantically with Braun. But now it seems that the Fiend is the one saving her, because that's the way it looked like on SmackDown. And I'm thinking maybe Alexa's going to side with the Fiend at SummerSlam.
But the Fiend attacked her a couple weeks ago.
But this goes all back to the whole how the Fiend changes people, and maybe this is how the Fiend's changing her.
Okay. So now Alexa's with the Fiend.
Here.
Yeah, you are really reading into this pretty deeply. I don't want to, because I think it's all pretty silly.
Oh, it's very silly, but I just feel like we might be going this direction.
Okay. I don't really want to, but maybe we are. I don't care. I really don't care. It's so dumb. Can we stop talking about the WWE? Can we talk about AEW or something? Because it was more enjoyable. It seems to make more sense to me. Raw Underground happened. Should we talk about Raw Underground? Shayna was on Raw Underground beating up 3 people.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the Riddick Moss fight that he had. I forget who he fought, but except for the ending, I thought that was good. The ending was just kind of stupid, though.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty bad, John. It's pretty sloppy. Didn't look like a real fight. Didn't look like a real grappling match. Didn't look like much of anything. Just looked like 2 guys pretending. 2 guys pretending to try and do a grappling match. It looked like a fake grappling match. It's pretty weak. I've watched too much real grappling and real fighting to make this Raw Underground shit believable. This Raw Underground shit is hokey as fuck, man. I've seen too much MMA to believe in this. No, thank you.
Well, they're never gonna pull off MMA. It helps with having Shayna around, though, I find. But like with guys like this, it's just they have to make it competitive. That's it, and you have to understand that this isn't real. So as long as you realize it's not real, then you can have fun with it.
Well, yeah, it's obviously not real. It's obviously not real. And the rules are pretty wide open. I guess there's no rules because Riddick Moss was pulling hair and doing eye pokes, and Shane McMahon's like, yeah, hair pulling is legal. Eye pokes are legal. It's cool. I was like, oh, yeah? And then Daba Kato, who they put his name down there because I thought his name was Dava Kato, but it's Daba. Dabba dash Kato, Kato. Dabba, like Yabba Dabba Doo. Yabba Dabba Kato. He grabbed the guy by the balls and then punched him in the face. He just like did the Ric Flair, like, squeeze your balls and then went boom right in the face. That's how he won his fight, which I really don't want to call it that. And then Shayna showed up and was like facing off with him. And then Shayna beat up 3 people. And yeah, I didn't think it was very good. I think Raw Underground is stupid. Really dumb. Also, like, why is Shane the announcer and the referee if there's a referee there already? It's weird.
Well, it's the Shane McMahon show. Shane has to get a lot of attention, so that's why.
SummerSlam is 1 week away. We will be live watching WWE SummerSlam with you next Sunday night, 7 p.m. for the SummerSlam watch-along. Don't forget to check out our UFC 252 watch-along as well, 10 p.m. for the UFC pay-per-view. Don't forget to check out our friends over at Manscaped.com. Go to Manscaped.com. Use that promo code Ringside20 for 20% off your order plus free shipping. They've got great products. Your balls will thank you. They've got the Lawnmower 3.0 now available in Canada. A fantastic razor. Are you going to have a hair versus hair match? You need to get prepared with the Lawnmower 3.0. Go to Manscaped.com. Use that promo code Ringside20, 20% off your order. Free shipping. They have ball deodorant. Your balls are going to smell great. A lot of you guys out there are starting to wrestle, doing some jiu-jitsu. Hopefully, things are getting back open. Things are opening back up. Do your partners, your sparring partners a favor and have some sweet-smelling balls courtesy of Manscaped.com. Go hook yourself up, Manscaped.com. Promo code Ringside20. Get a nice deal. Have some nice balls. It's a good deal all around.
Well,
Shawn Michaels is going to be on Raw. Huh?
It's good to have smelly balls. I mean, you say have some good balls. I mean, you just want to have good smelling balls. I mean, not everyone's going to have good balls, period. Like,
you got ball problems?
No, I'm saying like good smelly balls. Like you want that, not
you want
just
them
good
to be
balls, period.
smelling good. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Take care of those grapefruits, partner. All right? Make sure they are smelling nice. AEW Dynamite. Dynamite. AEW
What
has
happened to Sean?
released, huh?
I thought you were going to talk about Sean. What happened?
Well, I don't know. Sean's gonna be on Raw.
He's
He's
got to
gonna
get kicked in the head. It's
he's
good.
gonna confront Randy Orton. Yeah, that's not gonna be good for him. Rey Mysterio
It'd
apparently
be
is
great
gonna
for
be on
everyone
Raw
else.
too. Huh?
I said it'd be great for everyone else if Sean gets kicked in the head. I'd love to see that.
Oh,
You hear
John.
what Brett said about Sean and Triple H? Like, man, they're big jerks.
About The Rock?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you watch that? Did you see that?
Like, I think it's episode 15. I haven't gone that far yet, but I read the report about that. Like, man, like I always heard those stories, and for Brett to confirm that, it's just like I'm so glad Rock never wrestled Shawn because like Shawn didn't deserve him.
Yeah. Apparently Shawn Michaels yelled at The Rock for doing a drop kick off the top rope. He's like, "Don't do that move. That's my move." And The Rock was a rookie at the time and felt all bad. And then Shawn leaves the room, and Brett's like, "Don't listen to that guy." Owen Hart does. Oh, my brother Owen does that move all the time. Shawn's not going to yell at Owen. He's just trying to be a big man. Tell him to fuck off. And Brett's like, "Yeah, Shawn and Hunter were always trying to bully The Rock and pick on The Rock. They're trying to run him out of the business. They didn't want him around. They were intimidated by him." And I've heard that The Rock did not like Shawn Michaels. And, there was always that rivalry with Triple H. So I'm not surprised. I heard the stories. Of course, Brett's going to confirm that stuff about Shawn. And, of course, Johnny North is going to maintain his grudge against the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, who will be on Raw Monday night. Let's get to AEW. They released Jimmy Havoc, Sadie Gibbs, and B. Priestley. All UK-based wrestlers who haven't been able to make it over to the States. At least that's the reason being given for Sadie Gibbs and B. Priestley. The Jimmy Havoc, it's more like, there were some pretty awful allegations put there against Jimmy Havoc. He was suspended, and now they're just like, yeah, we're going to cut ties. Which is probably for the best.
Well, sadly, it sounds like maybe more allegations are going to come out or something that we haven't heard, but maybe they know that's on the horizon. So life might get a lot worse for Jimmy Havoc, unfortunately, but you reap what you sow, unfortunately.
Sometimes.
And, with the others.
Unless you're the Velveteen Dream.
Well, apparently, like, they said that was fake, whoever, put that out there, that whole story, so...
Really? So why'd they take him off TV?
Yeah. Well, they had to confirm it. They had to make sure.
Well, the guy who was accusing him says the WWE never contacted him.
Well, apparently there's footage out there of him confirming that, it's all made up, so...
Okay. I don't know. Fishy situation. All right, back to AEW. Yeah, Sadie Gibbs and B. Priestley, you just didn't see very much of in AEW, and maybe when things open up again. Yeah, that's it. They're in the UK. Maybe when things open up again, you'll see them. The August 22nd episode of Dynamite, the Saturday night episode, will feature Brody Lee challenging Cody Rhodes for the TNT title, FTR versus the Private Party, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus 3 of the Dark Order guys. Not Uno or Grayson, 3 other guys. And the Lucha Brothers. Yeah.
Beaver Boys, I think, and Aaron Angels, I think.
Whatever. Lucha Brothers, Butcher and the Blade will take on Dustin Rhodes, QT Marshall, and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus on the next episode of Dynamite. So that's what they have for their next show. This past Wednesday night, it was the last Wednesday night Dynamite for a couple weeks. Young Bucks beat the Dark Order, Grayson and Uno. I thought that match was really good. Grayson looked great. Uno looked great. The Bucks looked great. They worked really well together. Pretty loose with the rules, though. Dark Order goons were outside interfering in the match a bunch of times. A lot of double teams that the ref... He would make a count, but then when he got to the end of the count, he would just throw his arms up in the air I don't know. That wasn't great. A lot of that kind of bending of the rules and kind of throwing the rule book out the window, but At the same time, I thought the match was good enough that it withstood that, and still I was enjoying it. Despite the silliness, I still thought it was really good. It was a really good match between those two very good tag teams. I thought it was match of the night.
You could be right, but to me, it just goes to show you it wasn't one of the best Dynamites they had recently. Like, they had good moments, but like you said, a lot of it didn't make sense. A lot of it was bending the rules, so it takes kind of out of the match when they do stuff like that. Again, the Bucks are entertaining to watch. They have some really great moments, some of the best moments you'll see the whole show. But if you look at that show, like top to bottom, it just seemed like it was somewhat of a mess. Like, it would just seem very disorganized. I know it was a taped show, but it just seemed like it was all over the place.
I don't know. It seemed all right. You had MJF after that doing a promo in the ring. I thought MJF's promo was really good. Talking about Jon Moxley. He's like, Moxley's not used to dealing with somebody who's so much more talented than him and who isn't happy to just stare up at the lights for him. I thought it was good stuff. And then Moxley came out, delivered a solid beating on MJF. That looked stiff. It was a good beating. And then Moxley's promo after was a little weird. He goes backstage, cuts a promo, and he's really mad at MJF, not for all the things that he said about him, but for almost costing him the title last week in the match with Darby Allin. MJF tried to distract Moxley and have Darby win so that MJF could have an easier path to the world title by beating Darby Allin instead of Jon Moxley, and that's why Moxley's upset. And that's why he attacked MJF from behind, by the way, kind of a heel move. I was a little surprised Moxley had to attack him from behind. But, he did that because he almost cost him the belt, not because of all the mean things MJF has said about him. I thought that was a good segment, though.
I like what's going to happen because of that. Because now, apparently, MJF is trying to petition that Moxley's finisher is banned going into that match now. The paradigm shift, apparently he can't do that move.
Why?
Because apparently, like, something like that is too dangerous to do or something. I forget the exact reason, but it's an advantage for MJF that move that beats everybody, Moxley can't do during the match. So it just gives MJF a possibility that maybe he'll actually win at All Out. Hopefully he does. Like, I'm not sure if he will win, but I'm hoping he wins.
I don't think he will. I'd like to see it. I don't see it yet. I wouldn't be mad at it, but I don't think it's going to happen. Matt Hardy interviewed backstage. He's mad about Sammy Guevara throwing a chair at his head, and he's going to be cleared to wrestle on the next episode of Dynamite. So I don't know if their match is official, but I guess he's going to attack Sammy. What's the story? Are they having a match?
I think it's going to be a confrontation. They're probably saving the match for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That was another odd segment because then, like, he attacked somebody, and then it just seemed like they piped in, like, the whole, like, oh, that wasn't that guy, it was a referee or something, and it just ended so flat, that segment. Again, like, this is what happens when it's taped. Like, it just feels like it's very out of place, a lot of things, where they just kind of cut things in and out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just part of Matt Hardy going crazy, Sammy Guevara threw that chair at him, he scrambled his brain, and now Matt Hardy doesn't quite know where he is. I didn't hate it. Cody Rhodes beat Scorpio Sky after a second Crossroads to retain the TNT Championship. Solid match. Nothing amazing, though. Didn't really blow me away. It was kind of it's all right.
Well, I just find that Cody's really set the bar pretty high with the matches that he's had so far already. So when you see something like this, you kind of expect like it's going to be that same kind of level. And it was just okay, like you kind of said it was. So when you see these guys, you expect like this is going to be like amazing. And it was just okay, so it's kind of disappointing.
That's it. It was passable, but they were building it up as this great match that was about to happen. I was more impressed with the presentation of Cody Rhodes. He had the entire Nightmare family come with him for the introduction to this match, something that he hasn't done before on this run with the TNT title. It's a completed belt right now, too, by the way.
Looks great.
Yeah, it looks really nice now. It's completed, and it looks quite nice. But Cody he had a crew with him there. Arn Anderson, his brother Dustin Rhodes, Brandy, his wife, Allie, her tag team partner, QT Marshall, Dustin's tag team partner. Like the whole Nightmare family, Cody's whole crew was there. And he was also introduced for the first time as the Prince of Pro Wrestling. And I believe that this is the beginning of a turn for Cody Rhodes. You look at who this guy is. He's got the whole crew behind him. He's got the championship. He's winning every week. He is the Prince of Pro Wrestling now. He is an EVP of AEW. Like, he's the boss and he's putting himself over. I know people love Cody, but Cody's a heel. I mean, he's good. He's likable. But that character, all those traits that I listed, the crew with him, the wife, the EVP, he's the promoter, he's putting himself over, he's winning all the matches, he's a long-reigning champion, like, that's a heel. I think Cody's turning heel.
Well, I find Cody's just setting himself up where he could face anybody. Where Cody's just making himself this, like, strong entity, and, like, it's going to be hard for anybody to touch him because he's got so much going for him. So, like, anybody could face him, like the Dark Order, which is currently, like, kind of trying to face him, or someone like Scorpio Sky who wants to prove himself. Like, he set himself up where he could really face anyone. To me, he's a tweener.
Maybe he was more heel because he was taking on the babyface Scorpio Sky. I wonder what the presentation of Cody will be like when he takes on Brody Lee, who is a clear heel. Will Cody have the whole Nightmare family there with him for the introduction again? Will he be called the Prince of Pro Wrestling again? Like, the Prince of Pro Wrestling, that's a heel name. Like, that's not a gimmick that you have as a babyface, right? Like, when they call him that, I'm like, oh, that's a heel thing. That's heelish, right?
Well, to me, that's him just trying to sell a new T-shirt. That's pretty much it. It's how you want to take it. I don't see him wearing a crown or anything. So,
okay. Kenny Omega and Hangman Page beat the Jurassic Express, hitting their finisher to retain the AEW tag titles. Not bad.
Again, like, this is a match that hyped up. Like, this is going to be an incredible match, and again, it was just okay. So. Again, disappointing because you overhyped this matchup.
I don't know. I thought it was nothing I was really looking forward to. It was decent. It was what I was expecting. Not terrible. Didn't blow me away. It was solid. I liked the Tag Team Appreciation Night promo. FTR, the Young Bucks, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and the Rock and Roll Express all in the ring for the promo. The Bucks and FTR put over the Rock and Roll. Rock and Roll put over the Bucks as the best tag team in the world. Arn puts over the Rock and Roll Express but says FTR is the best tag team in the world. Tully says none of them are the best tag team because nobody has the gold, sucker. And then Tully gets in Arn's face and he's like, we've had problems before. I'm the manager of Sean Spears and you were the manager of Cody Rhodes. And then Sean Spears shows up, and Arn's like, oh, I see what's going on here. I'm about to get beat up. I'm leaving. And Ricky Morton punches Tully, and the Bucks and FTR have to separate them, which was kind of cool. And then Dax fell down and hurt his knee for some reason. And then FTR decide to attack the Rock and Roll Express. They attacked them, and then the Bucks had their back turns. They didn't see it. They come back. They run off the FTR, and they're like, what are you guys doing? And then even Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, they show up and they're like, what are you guys doing, FTR? Even Hangman, who's been friends with FTR, he seemed disappointed by their actions. I think FTR did it because Rock and Roll said that the Bucks are the best tag team in the world, and they took exception to that and decided to lay a smackdown. I guess that was the motivation there. I mean, I wasn't like, that didn't make sense. Why did FTR do that? I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I get it. Hangman was confused, but it's like, oh, yeah, they just called the Bucks the best tag team in the world, and Arn Anderson's like, no, FTR's best tag team in the world, so FTR's like, yeah. Screw you, Ricky and Robert. We're the best tag team in the world. And we're going to beat you guys up. Right? That made sense. It's good stuff.
Well, it's not just that. I think FTR also put over Arn and Tully, and then you just saw Tully got punched in the face, so they kind of like were standing up for him in a sense.
Yeah.
So I get it. Plus, FTR never said that they were good people. They said they were there to be the best tag team, so that's it. That's all they have to do.
Yeah, that's it. I liked it. And it sets up Kenny and Hangman versus FTR. I think maybe at the pay-per-view for the titles. I think that might have set it up.
FTR is going to face Private Party, I believe, next Saturday, so...
Who cares?
FTR is going to win that match, obviously, right?
Well, yeah.
So, but I think that's going to help push them up the rankings and probably give them the tag team title shot.
But it gave them a reason, right? Like Hangman was so buddy-buddy with FTR, it didn't make sense that he'd even want to wrestle a tag team match against them. But now that they attacked Rock and Roll Express, Hangman seemed a little disappointed with that. I think it set it up. AEW not doing a ton with their women's wrestlers. Hikaru Shida beat somebody called Heather Monroe in a very short match, and that was it. I don't even know if Britt Baker talked on the show this week. Like, where were the women?
Well, you got to watch the women's tag team tournament.
Oh, that's where they all are? So they're not on TV anymore? They're just on YouTube?
I believe we're going to see the finals next Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So the semifinals, I believe, are going to be on YouTube. The finals will be on Dynamite.
Cool. Show me the finals of a tournament that I haven't been watching at all. I'll care about that. No, I will not. Orange Cassidy beat Chris Jericho with a nice little pinfall move, done very slowly, though. Not a great finish to that match. It was just kind of like, okay, I got it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're done here. It was weird the way he kind of locked that move in. It was not smooth. Didn't look great. And that match was not as good as their first one. And Orange Cassidy actually beat Jericho here, which... Why? You know? I mean, okay, maybe they have the trilogy match at All In and Jericho beats him and... Okay, we're done with that. Fine. You gave Orange one match. Fine. That better happen, though. Jericho needs to beat Orange Cassidy now. Because otherwise, like, that's the end of Chris Jericho as a main event player. If Chris Jericho is going to lose 2 out of 3 from Orange Cassidy, like, how are you ever going to believe in Chris Jericho as a main eventer ever again? You can't do that. So, okay, Jericho lost one to Orange Cassidy. That's fine, but now you have to have a third match, and Jericho has to win it. He has to. Otherwise, well, Jericho should just retire, I think. Because him being a credible main eventer, after losing 2 or 3 to Orange Cassidy, that's Dunsky. It's over. If he loses again to Orange Cassidy, he should retire.
I see your point. I get it. And I'm sure a lot of people were upset about Orange Cassidy beating Chris Jericho, but I also see why Jericho did it, because like Orange Cassidy needed a win. Mm-hmm. And we always complain about how there's no upsets in AEW, and they finally have an upset. So I'm not going to complain about that. Mm-hmm. But to me, I don't want to see another match at all, actually. It's like, okay, you gave him the upset, and you proved everything in those 2 matches, in my opinion. You can just move on, do something else. Mike Tyson's not fighting anymore until November, so get him in a match with Jericho, whatever kind of match. Do that at the pay-per-view instead.
Not going to happen.
Well, that's what it should happen for Jericho. Okay, but unfortunately, like you said,
it won't.
They're probably going to do Orange Cassidy. Yeah, they're probably going to do Orange Cassidy again. And it's just going to be like, I don't even know if it's going to be that great. I honestly don't want to see it. I think, to me, they've done everything they can do in a match to make it interesting. Unless they make it some sort of gimmick. They have to make it a gimmick match to make it interesting, because like we've seen them wrestle to the best of their abilities, and I don't want to see it anymore, to be honest.
I don't either. A gimmick match would help. But, yeah, I don't know. I was not impressed with the main event of Dynamite this week. A little bit disappointed. Hopefully we get a better main event for UFC 252. I think we will. Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic. That's the trilogy fight you actually want to see. Forget Jericho Orange Cassidy 3. DC Stipe 3. That is the shit. Watch us. Watch the UFC 252. Watch along me, AJ, Freddie. We will all be there. The Ringside Report MMA team. 10 p.m. Eastern time, right when that pay-per-view starts. We will be there watching the whole pay-per-view with you from the first fight on the pay-per-view to the last one, the main event there for the heavyweight championship of the world. Check out my main man, Johnny North, on Twitter at North Genesis, on Instagram at Genesis Johnny North. Follow me on all the things at Dave Simon MMA. And don't forget to check out our website, ringsidereport.net. We will be live next Sunday for WWE Summerslam. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and when you do, click the bell, ding, 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 to get notifications every time that we are on. And we are on every Saturday for Wrestling Uncensored. Thank you for hitting us up on the Super Chat. Thank you for supporting our sponsors, Stitcher Premium. Go to Stitcher.com/premium. Use that promo code Ringside for a free month. Go to Manscaped.com and use the promo code Ringside20 for 20% off, plus free shipping on your order. And go to VPN.ringsidereport.net to sign up to IP Vanish. For Johnny North, I'm Dave Simon, and this has been Wrestling Uncensored. Hey, Johnny, say yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.